Andy Stevenson at Team KF sitting alongside Adam Shelley. How are you doing today, sir?
All good, Andy. Yeah, just here having a look around the rollathon that's going on upstairs for the now the Ukraine. Great cause. Good to see everybody up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, exactly what he said. So, Team KF today are doing a rollathon, a 12-hour rollathon in aid of Ukraine. So go check that out and donate if you can. You have a big fight coming up now. Your Cage Warriors debut next Friday, the 1st of April, against Stephen Hooper. How are you feeling ahead of it?
Feeling great, Andy. Preparation has gone really well. It's not so much of a camp. Like, I was joking with somebody about this the other day. Like, I never know whether to say I'm always in camp or I'm never in camp, because like we're just always going here. Like, you know, whether it's me fighting or one of the lads, like we're just always in and out of the gym, and then it just sort of ramps up a little bit in the lead up to fights. So since the start of the year, like had a bit of downtime over Christmas. Since the start of the year, just been tipping away. When I heard about the fight, ramped it up a little bit, and everything's gone great. Looking forward to getting in and performing.
Yeah, you know, you're a lifelong martial artist, obviously coming from a taekwondo background. Has that always been the case, I guess, where you're kind of always training, or, you know, did that differ at all once you switched over to MMA?
No. So that's I've kept that sort of, I wouldn't even, like, yeah, that mentality and that sort of lifestyle, like that's basically what it is for me. Like the only year since 2006 that I haven't competed was 2020 with the COVID and pandemic, whatever went on. But that's since 2006. I was like 12. I started competitions and competing all around the country. Since then, like, I've been always competing every year. Let it be taekwondo, kickboxing, did some boxing fights, jits comps when I first started here, and now it's all MMA fights. So yeah, that's just the way I like to do it. Like, you know, it's just my lifestyle. I don't even think about it. It's not an effort to me, like, genuinely. It's just get up in the morning, bit of training, do whatever else I have to do for the day.
Yeah, you know, you've been an MMA fighter now a few years now. You know, you're 1-on-1 as a pro. How do you feel your progression has come along? I suppose, you know, coming from a striking background and now mixing in all the elements, where do you feel you're at the moment as a fighter?
Definitely, like, obviously my grappling couldn't have got any worse, because when I started, I literally had, when I started in KF, I had like zero grappling. Like, hadn't even walked into a jiu-jitsu gym, didn't know what mount, side control, didn't know what any of it was. So it was only up from there. But in the last year or two, like with COVID and stuff, it really has improved. Because there was no fights, it allowed me to work on some weaknesses. And yeah, like, you know, we're here with, you know, Chris, Tom, Ash takes some of the class as well. There's Anton, a high level black belt. It'd be hard not to get better or get good with these guys around me. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to showing that aspect of my game a little bit more in some of my fights going forward. Yeah,
like, is there an element of I want to make a statement? Like your brother Ryan, he's after getting his first two pro wins were submissions. I'm thinking, geez, this guy's supposed to be a striker. Does that a bit of an incentive, or, you know, maybe aside from that, do you want to kind of go out and show, right, I'm not just a striker, I'm a complete martial artist, and I can submit people too?
Absolutely, yeah. So there was always a bit of banter around this, like, because me, Ryan and Taka started around the same time, and I'll say it now, I wouldn't have said it at the time. Ryan took to the grappling the best out of the three of us.
Oh no, that's we've got to. You're on camera here, so he's gonna replay that at the dinner table now.
I know he is. It's the first time I've said it. Now we did, and look, that has shown. Like, Ryan has 3, 4. Like, I suppose he has 2 rear naked wins in total between pro and amateur, and then 2 through like ground and pound and stuff like that came from the grappling. So yeah, he took to it best. And at the time, there was when we were starting out, there was a 50 quid bet between 50. Well, Ryan says 50, I say 20. Between me, Ryan, Taka, whoever got the first submission was owed the money. Now Ryan still hasn't seen that money, and he's not going to see it either. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting in there and showing that I've upped my game too. Like, so at the start, like I said, Ryan was taking it to it better, and even Taka bettered me a little bit. I remember I was doing my placement actually when we first started, the year we first started, and like that, Ryan and Taka were my gauge. If I was doing alright against them, I was doing alright, because we all started at the same time. And there came a time in the year, so this back in 2018, the boys were handing it to me, you know, and I was like, alright, they're after going ahead of me here. So I had to up my game, and I'd like to say we're all on a decent level playing field now. We'll say that on camera anyway.
Yeah, an even keel now.
Yeah, we won't count up the body count, the submissions. We won't do that here.
Yeah, does that sting a little bit extra because he's your younger brother, right?
Oh, Andy, you're doing me bad here. No, that's all right. I'll prove it now in the next one going forward. Yeah.
No, 100%. Would you guys have been competitive growing up? Like as you're coming up doing taekwondo, would there have been like a bit of banter, a bit of back and forth competitiveness?
So during our teen years, no, because like I'm 2.5 years older than Ryan, so you know yourself as a teenager, that equates to a lot. Like,
well, I hear that you're the more successful of the strikers.
That's 100%. Absolutely, you only have to look at the CVs for that. But yeah, so as teenagers, like, you know, we were like, me being 2.5 years older, there's a huge physical difference. So say when Ryan was 17, 18, I was 20, 21, that's when it did start getting competitive, like, because this cheeky fucker was starting to give it to me in the gym, like, you know, and starting to hold his own and catch me with stuff. So it definitely, and like, but that leveled me up then, and it leveled him up, and now, like, you know, it's all fair game. He's one weight class below me, but that's all right. Like, you know, when it's sparring time on the mat, it's go time between the two of us now.
Yeah, so taking on Stephen Hooper this Friday, are you excited to be making your Cage Warriors debut, and why Cage Warriors?
Yeah, delighted to be making the Cage Warriors debut. I was chatting with the Energized lads about this the other day, actually, and like, for me, starting out in KF, like, Cage Warriors was the first major goal. Like, the UFC, yeah, that's everybody's goal, but I find it very, like, the UFC, like, I don't know how the UFC shows are run. I don't know what it's like backstage. I don't know. To me, it's just like, I don't really think about it. I'll see it when I get there, hopefully. But with Cage Warriors, I fought there twice as an amateur on the undercard of their pros. I was over cornering people from the gym and stuff, so I got to see the whole runs of the place, and I was like, this is where I want to make my run in my professional career. Obviously with COVID and stuff, you know.
Why though? Why Cage Warriors specifically? Was it because of the experience that you had there and that you saw the setup, or I guess, you know, why?
I suppose, like, for us, you know, the natural thing is to look up. So if you look up to Chris, Cahill, you know, James, right? Them three, they did the Cage Warriors route. For Chris and Cahill, like, you know, obviously, like, Cahill got to the UFC, Chris got very close, James got the belt. So I suppose that was just the atmosphere is in the gym nearly. Like, there's Cage Warriors belts hung up the wall, there's pictures of Cage Warriors, there's a lot of talk about Cage Warriors. So like, when I first started, just hearing Cage Warriors, like, what's Cage Warriors? Like, you know, started looking into it, saw all the names that came through there. Obviously McGregor, a lot of the successful Irish people who made it into UFC, the yellow gloves. So that's just where it came from, I think, like, you know. And then when I started watching the shows, the standard on the shows is unbelievable. Like, you know, me, Ryan and my dad always sit down and watch the Cage Warriors events. My dad loves them, like, and he didn't know a thing about Cage Warriors until we explained it to them. And when you compare it to UFC, like, a Cage Warriors main card, in my opinion, is on a par with UFC prelims. You know,
what are you expecting going into this fight with Stephen Hooper? He's obviously, you know, he's an experienced guy. I think 5-4, and I think this is his 5th Cage Warriors appearance. So, you know, he's I guess a veteran of the Cage Warriors scene. What are you expecting going in against a guy like this?
I think it's a traditional striker versus grappler matchup for sure. He's high level jiu-jitsu as far as I know. So yeah, I reckon he's going to be coming looking for that takedown. He's going to, when I watched his last couple of fights, he shoots from far, he looks to get desperate sometimes as well, so I'll be looking to capitalise that and implement my game plan. Yeah,
it seemed in your last fight at Cage Conflict, you know, you were showing different facets to your game. Are you expecting maybe a long fight here, similar to the last one, a decision, or will you be going in here looking to kind of put him away early?
I'll be looking for a stoppage here for sure, and I have a few ways in my head how I think that'll come about. My last one that went to decision, I was disappointed by that. I wanted to get the stoppage in that fight. Well, look, going in first, obviously the goal is always to win first and foremost, but on reflection of the fight, of course I was happy with the win, but I was actually disappointed that I didn't get the finish. I've addressed a couple of things in my striking that I could have done better to get the finish in that fight, and I'll be for sure implementing them in this fight to make sure it doesn't go the distance.
We were talking a little bit before we started recording, you know, you're 28 years old. What do you know, a lot of fighters these days, when they're starting MMA, they're coming in as a teen or 18, 19, 20. You're coming into MMA and obviously, well, you know, you haven't just started, you've been doing this a few years now, but you're 28 years old now. What are you looking to do over the next 2 to 3 years?
For me, UFC is the goal. UFC before I'm 30 is the goal for me in my head, and that's, you know, Cage Warriors is a great route for that. And I just want to fight the best. You know, I'm all about the competition. I just, like, you know, like that. I don't need to be developed, like, you know, even outside of the gym. Like, I don't need to mature. Well, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm not out partying all the time. Like, you know, I know what I want out of the sport. I know what it takes to get there. So I don't need to, like, you know, a lot of the young lads coming in late teens, early 20s, it's that side of it they nearly need to mature, and they need to be maybe helped in their matchups so that they're not going in against killers early on and stuff, whatever. I don't really need that. I'm mature enough and ready enough to go in against these top guys, and if I beat them, great, off I go. If not, then that's just the way it is. It sort of reminds me, like, you look at Joy Herbert in the UFC. Has anybody had a tougher run? I don't think so. Like, Jesus, like, did people, and then even,
what has he done to the matchmakers? Jesus Christ.
I was saying to somebody,
maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a sign of respect.
Exactly. I was like, did he slap Dana in the face or something? Because, so like that, yeah, they're either looking at this Joy going, he's a killer, give him killers, or like, again, you look at, compare him to Paddy, like, you know, maybe not as much of a draw, a little bit older, still a fantastic fighter. So they're like, all right, let's see if he sinks or swims. He's been unlucky once or twice, but, like, you know, that could be sort of my potential route as well, and I'd be more than happy to take that route.
So you're looking to hit the ground running, essentially.
Absolutely. Busy year this year, 4 fights hopefully.
So 4 fights. We've obviously got Stephen Hooper this week. Belfast, June 26th. Cage Warriors are coming back to Belfast. Is that assuming, you know, all good, no injuries, all that? Are you looking for that card next?
Yeah, definitely. So when I heard that, obviously, like, you know, that's a great show to have here in Ireland and stuff. I've tried not to think about it too much, to be honest. I have a tough opponent next week, and I'm like, right, let's get over that hurdle first, and then I'll address that. But you can't help but not think about it, that if things go well next week, that'll be for sure my next outing. Yeah.
Adam Shelley taking on Stephen Hooper at Cage Warriors 135 on Friday the 1st of April in Manchester's BEC Arena. Appreciate the time today, and safe travels over to Manchester this week.
Thanks for the time, Andy. I appreciate it. Take it easy.
Appreciate it.